Okay. So, hello, and thank you for inviting me, Taike and Cupore Talks and Creative Europe Desk. I am here. I'm Eva Blaute, the project manager of Hypertunes, a pilot mobility scheme for artists and culture professionals. First of all, I will maybe tell you where the name comes from. Portunes was a character from Greek mythology, and he is known as the protector of doors and keys and ports and seas. So we thought this character could be good in terms of this pilot mobility scheme for artists, because he was the protector of people who were traveling. And that's what we hope to do as well. We want to be a protector for the artists. As you can see, it's a project which is implemented on behalf of the European Commission. It's a tender, and it's the consortium of Goethe-Institut, together with the partners Institut Français, Isoliatia, and NIDA Art Colony of Vilnius Academy of Arts, which are working together to make this pilot happen. How do we do that? So, since it is a pilot, the work is divided in 3 parts. We start with an analysis, we continue with the experiment, and then the 3rd phase would be about policy recommendations. So in the first task, we are working with a mobility expert. Her name is Marie Le Sourd from On the Move, and she's really she's guiding a team of different data collectors and writers to work on different levels about She's looking for the existing mobility schemes in Europe. So first of all, we would like to make a map of what exists right now. Second of all, we would like to know what the needs are of the different disciplines within Europe. So there has been a questionnaire which has been surveyed, which has been disseminated all over Europe. And within 2 weeks, we got 2,155 responses, so that was quite good. So this will also be part of the analysis. And further on, through the analysis, we would like to identify what European added value would be of such a mobility scheme. So that's for the analysis. The analysis will serve as a basis for what we call the pilot experiment. The experiment is based on a website which we will launch on the 15th of April, and this would also be the launch of the first call for proposals. We would like to have 3 calls and in the pilot we will focus on 2 disciplines only. We will focus on the visual arts and on the performing arts. We do this, we limit the disciplines for the sake of the experiment, because we would like to get a critical mass of people to be able to understand what would be a good system to help artists. So there will be 3 calls, and since it is an experiment, we will tell people in advance that there will be flexibility in the rules, because we would like to achieve a geographical balance. This is a European program, and we work with 4 regions, so we will divide Europe within northern part, southern part, eastern part, and then because it's a Creative Europe country, there's also non-European countries which are part of this pilot. So it's all been said. Part 1 and Part 2, the analysis and the experiment, will serve for the 3rd part, because we would like to get as many different kinds of ideas and feedback as possible to include in what will be the policy recommendations. So we will have a workshop in October where we will invite different stakeholders, we will have working groups on different themes, and from all the knowledge that we have collected throughout the whole period, we will formulate policy recommendations for a future mobility program for artists. So, as we said, or as I said before, the idea is really that there is a dialogue. We really invite artists or organizations who work with mobility and around mobility to come forward and to tell us what they know or what they miss or what they need, or if they know about initiatives, or if they have ideas about initiatives, to hear about them. Because of course when we talk about mobility there is a lot to think about. I've been talking to the colleagues of the Creative Europe desk, and they told me that this morning the topic of ecology is a hot topic, and it's of course something we cannot avoid when we talk about mobility. So we need to think about how to reach out to other sectors and not stay in the bubble of the artistic bubble, let's say, because we should think about better rail works. We should think about how we can other kinds of transport which are more sustainable, more accessible for people to travel. So this also involves the mobility program. One important thing to mention as well is that it is not only for artists, but also for culture professionals. So this means that if a curator wants to go to a certain city because he wants to meet several artists from a specific city, then this is also a possibility within this program. I was wondering whether you already have questions, because I thought I stay quite open about how we will approach this system, but maybe you have questions or some ideas already that you would like to mention. Nothing. It's impossible. Okay, so then maybe I continue a bit more since I have the time. Ah, a question.
I thought someone should ask something. So the project that will be applicable for this program, are you thinking more of sort of traditional performances or exhibitions and things like that, or are you focusing more on projects that kind of have a longer lifespan or things like that? How is your focus going to be?
It's what I like about this pilot, that it is very open. One thing which is really important is that this mobility scheme is really for individuals. So, for instance, when you have a performance and when you have a group of people who will be touring, it's very difficult to apply because it would be 1-1-1-1. So this is not a collective funding scheme. So that's the first thing to know. Secondly, the intention of this pilot is that it is very accessible and flexible again. So this means that you can develop your own ideas. So it can be, you can go abroad to do a masterclass, you can go abroad to do a network meeting, it can be for a long-term residency, it can be because you want to share some of your experience with people in another city. The only thing we ask as some kind of basis is an invitation from the hosting organization. But so it can be very open. Even if you do a residency, we don't expect you to say what will be the outcome. We do expect that there will be a European, I mean, the whole idea is of course about having a European dialogue and about exchanging artistic views, experiences, but the content is really very open.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Why do you want to focus on individuals instead of groups, for example?
It's a very good question. Because the Creative Europe program already offers a lot of opportunities for collectives. So this would be the first time that that we offer a European mobility scheme for individuals only. Yeah. Also, maybe I would like to add something to your question. This is also, if you would think that it doesn't make sense, this is something we want to know. So this is also part of the pilot. We want to know how people feel about the fact that it is for individuals. Because I saw your reaction, and I mean, if there is a bigger need for a collective mobility scheme, then we should know about this. The same with the durations. What we try to do with the pilot is to have a big flexibility of duration. When I say big flexibility, it's so, of course, limited within the time scope of the pilot. So between April and September, we will have 3 calls. And people can apply for a mobility which could last up till 85 days. So it's almost 3 months. In the first call, we would like to feel what people ask for. And maybe in the second call, we would have to be a bit more precise with those durations. So we thought about starting with short, medium, long, and long durations, and then feel what it means for people, and then later on to define it maybe a bit more strictly. Maybe one more thing to say is that next Monday we will have a press release which will announce the website. And on the website from Monday on there should already be a short description of what this project is about. It doesn't mean that the website is ready, it's only an announcement and a description of the project. But from 15 April onwards, we hope that the website will be ready and that the application system will be online. The website will not only be about applications, it will also mention good initiatives, and it will also give access to statistics on the arts and the sector to know what is mobility today. But so when we were discussing the ecological topic earlier, the idea is really to use the website to link to these initiatives. So for instance, I said it earlier, yesterday I had a meeting with Flanders Arts Institute, and they have a new initiative called Do the Locomotion. It's on the website, and on that website they have a map of all the train lines from European cities to other European cities. So this, for instance, is already interesting to know, wherever we come from, to know, okay, which are the direct lines which exist between European cities, because that information is not always very easy to find. So if you have things that you would like to have on the website, then you can send an email to the address which is written there below. Yes.
Hey, I was wondering about the proposals. What's the time frame for them, for the projects themselves?
Do you mean are you talking about the technical part of the website or the proposals of the artists?
I mean the proposals of the artist.
There is no time frame. So we will have these 3 calls. When the deadline approaches, we will try to take 2 weeks to have all the applications evaluated. We will reply to you, we hope, after 2 weeks. And the only limit that you will have for your artistic proposal is that it has to be kept within the time of our pilot. So this means that the mobilities will end in December 2019. This doesn't mean that your project needs to end, because we don't expect you to give us a finished result. But the mobility needs to be done before the end of the year.
Do you have any kind of idea how many applications you expect to get?
This is so terrifying. Yeah. We don't. So, of course, we have an ideal scenario, and we do know what we can offer within the limits of the pilot. So, but this is an average. I'm now talking averages. On average, we hope that through the 3 calls, we can give a mobility support to 500 artists. 500 could become 600. It depends on the durations and on what comes in. This is also important. We would like, as I said before, we would like to achieve the geographical balance, so between the different regions. And we work with evaluators from all those regions. So the idea is really, we hope that it will be balanced, also gender-wise, and also performing arts and visual arts-wise. But these are a lot of things to, I mean, we really don't know what will come out of it. So after the first call, we will analyze this first call to see, okay, what was missing? What do we need to work on? Which kind of projects or regions do we need to pull in? And this is really part of the test. Yeah.
Can you tell who are the evaluators of the applications?
We are now in the selection process. But so what we did is we asked all the partners, because the partners of the consortium, of course, are also divided over Europe. And we asked them to ask other people to recommend experts. So we have a very nice list of experts. It's a long list, I would say. And we will have to make a selection on the 21st of March. So this is almost a month before the first call is launched. But those people are already aware that it is coming. So the names are not defined yet. And maybe we shouldn't say who they are, because for the sake of neutrality, otherwise people will approach them, and this is something I don't know yet. You should? Yeah?
Hi. How are you planning to disseminate the information about the existence of this pilot program? I mean, how the artists are gonna get to know about this opportunity?
It's a mixed, it's on various levels, of course. First of all, we have the communication channels of the 4 partners. Those are important. And then, of course, the work of the Creative Europe desks in all of the countries. But also, we push on personal contacts. For instance, my background is in performing arts. I was working on the international level, so I know a lot of artists in person, and I already tell them about this system. So they do word mouth by mouth, so it should expand. So we have a few official levels. Of course, we have the website, we will have Facebook. It should. We already felt through the questionnaire that it works. We already receive a lot of emails from people while we don't even have a website, and we are not really communicating yet. So it's starting already. But if you have suggestions, we're open to hear them. Yes.
Wait a bit. There you go.
Nobody asked yet about the amount, the sum of money how many euros do you have to use?
I will answer this later, but first I would like to tell you that we are still in the period of the analysis, so we don't know yet how we will divide the money. The intention was that we would use, so this is the intention, to use fixed amounts for short, medium long and long mobilities, and in total there should be around 600,000 euros to be distributed. But I don't know how yet.
Hi. Is the mobility going to happen only in European countries?
It is the Creative Europe countries, so you will help me. But there is Ukraine, Albania, Georgia, Kosovo, Macedonia, and some more, but they are mentioned on the Hypertunes website from Monday onwards.
If there was going to be fixed amounts, would all the money need to be spent? How would the artist report the usage of the money?
It's tricky to answer also on her question for the sake of the pilot. So we are still in the phase that we are analyzing what would be the best system. So what I will say now will maybe be different in 2 weeks. But we want it to be light, and we don't want to set a burden on the culture professionals and the artists. So what we have in mind is to just, we get their proposal. If it's a good proposal with this letter of intent by the hosting organization, then we give them this fixed amount and they deal with the money the way they want. The only thing we would ask, again for the sake of the pilot, is that they would give feedback on the process, so the money would be paid partly as a first payment, and then when we get the feedback, and we don't expect them to put a lot of time in it, but we just want to feel, okay, what is missing, what is working well for you, and then we give the final amount. Yeah, but the way you spend it, we don't, unless I'm wrong, we don't expect proofs. Apart from the fact that you need to go there and do your project, of course.
Any more questions, comments?
Okay, then thank you, and go to the website from Monday onwards.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Blaute.